What's up, guys? This is like Chrissy here, Christian, and I'm here to do a reading for you guys. This is going to be a general reading. So, whenever you see this reading, guess what? It's the perfect time for the reading to be finding you. If you do not know who I am, which there's a high possibility since I have not been on YouTube in a minute, my name is like Chrissy, Christian. I love all things tarot, all things astrology. Let's see. I started reading tarot. Ooh, what are we like? 5 or 6 years in, might be longer than that. This is actually my first deck that I have here today to bring us back in. But I've done YouTube from time to time. I take breaks when needed. I'm one of those kind of people who kind of lets I know that there's like a time for everything, and I try to be a person that aligns myself with perfect timing, or the timing that I feel led to do things and not feel like I'm doing it without focus or intention, because then it becomes just lost in the wash. So with that being said, I have taken a minute away from making YouTube videos. So if you were here for that and you already know me, thank you for returning back. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for still supporting me or watching this, clicking on it. Even if you click off, thanks just for thinking of me enough to come here. And if you're new here, well, you never have to worry about me leaving. So there we go. The thing with tarot cards is, in order for you to be a better reader, you have to take in more life experiences. It will be easy to be the person that's always using cards to talk to spirit, for other people. But I think that, sometimes falling too hard into that takes you away from the necessary experiences that you might need in life, so that your readings can be more in depth. The cards take on different meanings as you grow with them. Of course, there's the traditional meanings, but your own imprint or energy goes into, you see your own life in the cards. And really, when people are reading to you, they're seeing what they see based on their experience, like looking at a kaleidoscope. Like, no two people are going to notice the same things, or like a painting. So when you see more, you're able to be more descriptive, right? Just like, if you've only seen red and blue and yellow, and you see a painting that's red and blue and yellow, you're going to say red, blue, and yellow. But what if it was mustard, and it was, the red was Jolly Rancher red? I'm making up something, or the green were like, is it at green apple green, Granny Smith, or is it, your palette gets a little bit better. So that is my whole little TED Talks on where I have been. Let's get into the reading. We're gonna start it off standard. That's why I didn't break it down this time into like signs and all of that. We'll get into that stuff, but first let's just take it back to the basics. We're gonna go back with this deck and see what things Spirit has for you. And first thing it wants to pop out for anybody watching this reading, this Four of Cups. And this is where something has run its course, to be honest with you. It can be something emotional. It can be some type of experience that you're having that pertains to other people and not yourself, since it's the cups, and this talks about our relationship, our connection with others, our emotions, our emotional intelligence, our sensitivities. But here, as you can see, this person is sitting under the tree, and it's like, I've had about enough. That's the message that I'm getting from the card, of a certain type of dynamic or energy that you may be experiencing in relationships with other people. Maybe there's a theme of something that you always notice. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is people always on me, crap on me. I always get the short end. I always get the short end of the stick when it comes to these certain type of people, these certain type of individuals. I think what Spirit is saying is, no, that's not all there is. And this is where that card comes to say, to manifest the things that you do want to see. If you stay with your intention focused on what you don't want, what has happened to you, your past traumas, you tell the universe to bring more of it, and then it becomes redundant. The whole thing is that the universe wants you to, the get you got you to the whole experience is that you are the author of your life. So when you want a different experience than the one you're having, you have to call that into being in some type of way. Like, it's this weird thing that I always say with the universe. It's like this. It's like, you have all this unlimited potential to be able to do things, right? To do to have whatever you want, the type of relationships you want, the type of connection you want, the type of experiences you want. Everybody has that, for one. Two, our ego, our brain, the way that we perceive is the only thing that kind of brings us, but puts that barrier between the unlimitedness and us, right? Our thoughts, our beliefs, and all of that kind of stuff. So what it is that deep down inside, innately, you know that you can have the things that you truly want and you truly desire in life. Like, everybody kind of knows that. It's either kind of a very quiet voice if you don't practice using it, or it can be very loud. And if you tap into that energy. But I think that sometimes you can believe yourself into away from that power, if that makes any sense. Like, you can say that the world is so crappy and this is all I get and this is always happens to me, and because you're saying that, that's what you're telling the universe that you want, because you're saying it, you're calling in more of it. What this type of the energy that this takes, what you're trying to do, no, it's not enough for you. And this is what I was getting to. Like, life is this stream that you can kind of go down. It's always going to take you where you need to be. You can enjoy that experience. You can not like that experience. You can be indifferent about it. It doesn't really matter. It's better to be indifferent, but that's another topic for another day. But we often say, universe, give me something, right? And then give me something different than what I already have, which, for one, we should practice gratitude to be happy for what we already have. But that's another conversation for another day. Anyway, it wants you to take the lead of the ship, so that if you go down a course that you do not like because you want something differently, then you will know that it's you. Like, because it's not to try to like throw it in your face that you make choices that may not be great for yourself, but it's just to remind you that you always have the power to be able to choose something different for yourself. And oftentimes we can kind of forget that, especially if we've been conditioned by the relationships, the words that I'm getting are like the ones that formed us, like your parents, your background, where your parents came from. All of that stuff kind of travels through when we're talking about cups and emotions. Those things make up your spiritual, emotional lineage, if you would. And it gives us these predispositions about what we think is possible, and that will be the blueprint for how your relationships are formed based on those. Okay, and then it gets to the point to where you start to wake up and you start to say, you know what, this seems to be the case in every situation. It always turns out like this. This always happens to me. I'm seeing a theme in these relationships. You're starting to wake up to it. But now the thing is that you're there already. So kudos to you for saying, hey, some of this stuff, this is getting a little bit repetitive. That's the first thing with dissatisfaction. This doesn't feel comfortable anymore, right? Then the next step is, okay, am I just going to sit around and examine it and just stare at it and still let it happen and be stunned by it and forever paralyzed by it? Or am I going to say what it is that I want? Because the thing about emotions here is, for one, they're unlimited, but also two, they're always accessible at any time. So a lot of times we feel like, I'll be happy when I get there. No, practice the happiness now before you get there, because it's already done on another timeline, in another space. It's already something done. Everything exists at one time. So all of the futures that you think of yourself, they all exist at one time. It's just a matter of vibrating with that frequency enough to be able to pull the things that you need to be able to get you to that point, which I'm not just talking about like the stuff, the physical, tangible things, but the lessons you need, the type of spirituality you need to have, the type of vibration you need to have, like all of those things you send telepathically between another version of yourself at any given time to try to put you in alignment with that, if that's what you choose. But you have to see their world. Like, if you want to be that person, you need to see your world the way that person would see, because the magic can't happen if you're looking at the trick happen. Like, if you're watching the puppet show but you can see the people's hands, it's no fun, So if you ease up off of that part, the miracles happen because you're not paying attention so much for them to happen, because you're so focused on what it is that you want to see, that you actually start seeing it, kind of pop in. That's kind of cool, I think, to say the least. Here in the see, look, we're talking about this being so super focused. What did I say? So super focused on how you want to feel that you understand everything that's going on around you in a totally different type of way. Because I feel like there's something here that tries to draw your attention, in some type of way. I don't, you know what? It's not a person. It's the focus on the problem and not the focus on the problem and not the solution. When the thing with emotions is they are so like I feel like sometimes when I read y'all, like side note, like I feel like I like things download to me about how the world works, but in such a cool way. But the words that I'm getting is like emotions hold a lot of energy, so they're very magnetic. And if you stare into them, if you stare into any emotion so long, it'll draw you in, right? So here we have this thing where you can shoot you it's hard to get out of this cycle, because if you focus on what isn't going right and what you don't like and those things like that, then you and that thing just attract to each other, because you're feeding that. It's like the universe is not like, it's not listening to the cases like one by one. It's saying it doesn't have time for that. I'm just playing, it does, but it's infinite. But it's like, okay, drama and heartbreak, that's what you're thinking about. Okay, send more drama, heartbreak, until we choose another thought and we choose another feeling. The challenge is believing that a world exists outside of what you have already seen and what is proven in the tangible world to be fact. Like some of this stuff ain't like, no, when I'm saying you've been you've been through it. It's not like to say that, to discount anything that you've been through. But that's where the muscle comes in. Can you still, despite all of those things, envision what it would be that you would want? Because right now, life is showing you in very delicate ways. I feel like what it is here in the Four of Cups, you're focused on it's like I can't remember the astrology for this card, but what is coming to me about it, it's like you're focused on okay, don't take this wrong, anybody. You're focused on the man way, the very masculine way to handle emotional problems, which tells me that sometimes people with heavy masculine energy, they cannot go beyond the surface of those higher emotions, which like anger is at the surface level, right? But there's something beyond that volcano that's deep, that's making that happen. And sometimes men are not naturally gifted with being able to do that, or people who are masculine dominant are not there. That's something that they have to teach themselves to be able to do. But it's so rewarding. So I feel like maybe the person, if you're kind of like me, sometimes I can be a little bit like that. You look at things for what it is. Like, okay, the example I can give you is like this. This person said that they were this to me, and then it turned out that they really weren't that to me. Okay, typical, right? This happens to us in relationships of all kind. But if you just look at the betrayal of it, you don't get into the deeper things that means. Like, well, what attracts me to people that do this to me? Not that way. It's not your fault, because that ego thing is, it doesn't want, when the ego feels that when it's a victim of something. Sometimes it can attach to the identity. Remember, if you focus on it too much, you become drawn into it, right? So you can be a victim of something but not be a victim. You don't have to do both. But what it is that this makes us focus on the surface level of the things that go on in our lives that are that have emotional value, that take a lot of emotional energy to think about, or when heartbreaks and and those type of things. This is to say that there's much more information to those things than what you probably realize, and that's why it's like it's funny to me, because the image I'm getting is like a man keeps fixing like a pipe, okay? And then the wife is just like, no, it's something deeper. And then he's like, no, I'm just gonna fix the pipe. So here it is, the leak again. Here he is fixing the pipe, and then it just keeps on happening. And then finally one day he's like, okay, let me see what it is that's deeper here. That way we can stop that from happening, okay? And then who knows? Maybe it's a new house. It might not be the. I mean, it might have started at the pipe, but then maybe it opened you up to look at the new houses. Now you found a good house on sale. Like, it's like this whole. It's more to it than what's just on the surface of it. The universe is kind of saying, yeah, that happened to you. Now what? Okay, so that always happens to you, right? You know, so what's new here? Because if everything is still the same on the surface, there's got to be something deeper that's making that repeat itself over and over and over again. And this is not that blaming thing where I'm saying it's your fault that anybody did anything to you. No, it's just, but I will say this, our experiences are dictated by our own vibration. They're all good for us in the end because they teach us how to love ourselves. They're opportunities for us to love ourselves better, but they don't always feel like that in the moment necessarily. So I kind of, it's like, yeah, it's just that thing of can you go deep enough to give yourself permission to dream beyond the world that you're currently experiencing. And if you were in, that type of friendship, what would that entail? What would those things look like? What would that relationship look like? What does family time look like? What does self-care look like? Getting back to that self of you that was optimistic about love and connection, and it's not just about love and relationships, but also your gifts, your spiritual gifts, the things that you do, the art, the singing, all of that stuff, that gives you this passion for life here with the Knight of Wands is your driving force. And this is another way with these two energies here. The the answer to this is get up. The words are specifically, this is not me being a butthole. Get up and do something about it. If you're tired of your life going a certain way, get up and do something about it. If there's a land that shows you that it's not lush, that what you've planted doesn't bear seeds, the gardener doesn't get mad at the land. You just plant what your seeds somewhere else. And I think that perfectly that card is there as I'm saying it. There's no sense of you sitting there and waiting around for the life you want to come. When you plant the seeds, you spread them, and then you go on and you let it be. And then if it falls apart, okay, then we learn, okay, then we need to shift and let's see a better vision for it. And then you get all excited about the vision and you go after it. And while you're running, it happens over time. Like that Seven of Pentacles is all of this work put in, that right here in the Four of Cups, you feel like it's gone down the drain. Another message that I'm getting here is that just because relationships doesn't work out doesn't mean that just because relationships don't grow with you, that's the number one sign that you're growing. Whenever those differences come apart. But for some reason, I feel like you look at your growth as a burden, because it wakes you up to expecting more. At a certain point in your life, that pressure starts being applied. Like, you can't apply that kind of pressure in one area and it doesn't spread everywhere. So everything has to grow up, especially if the people aren't meant to be the characters in the story anymore. Like, I know a lot of readers will say, what is it, like when your karmic work is complete with somebody, the things that you're meant to teach them and they're meant to teach you, the time has been given, the people have done with their free will what they've done with those, experiences, and then there's a shifting of the tides, and then those things don't really fulfill you as much as they once did. But you've been building something with all the work that you've been doing on yourself. You've been building something. It just hasn't shown itself yet because it needs a little bit of magic from you. Sometimes the world can be this place that really makes you feel like it's not magical. Like, I went to see Wicked, and that was the first time in a long time that I've been like taken somewhere that was magical. Wizards and witches and that kind of thing, just like, it puts you in a place where you're in another world where you can open your mind to thinking like, okay, leave my reality where only these things are allowed, and then I put myself at Shiz University. I'm in Oz, you know, like I'm with them. I'm right there, you know. So those that's a little thing like a movie, but those type of things bring you out of your reality. It's the way that those things make you feel, the person that I'm talking to, that's the same type of way you have to romanticize what you want your future to be like, because maybe you do have this grand vision where everything goes perfect. Don't we all kind of have like some type of thing like that, right? It's like the driving force. But if it can be as half as good, you'll be doing if reality can be half as good of what you see it in your head, if you're always aiming higher, then anything is better. Even if you just get a piece of it, piece by piece, it's always getting better. It's like a dessert that's always getting better. Life is always getting better at any given time. And don't sit around and worry if your hard work is paying off or not, based on what you see in front of you, because the thing is, the hard work that you put into yourself is not something that can ever be taken away by an experience. It was something else I was going to say with that card. I don't know. It's like the energy that I kind of get is like, it's almost saying, if, oh, that's what I was going to say. Okay. When you have doubt that something is going to pay off, it's like it's a lack of faith, right? And then a lack of faith puts you where that's one of those emotions, and here it is drawing you into lack. And lack is when you're thinking about what you don't have, and if you're thinking to be able to get more, you have to think more abundantly than you think now, in whatever aspect, not just money. But if you're focused on lack, you're furthest away from thoughts of from abundance. You see that? Like when you're trying to focus on that, you can't really focus on pulling yourself out when you're focused on lack. So that's one of those things with you when you put when you change. Okay, the way the vibration works is whatever you focus on, you draw it to you, and you guys are drawn together energetically. But if you keep flickering, then life will kind of be like how this tide is for them. It's ups and it's downs, and it's ups and it's down, which I feel like the ups and downs are going through the same experiences over and over and over again, right? And then wanting something different, noticing you want something different, but focusing on what's actually the same, but knowing that you need to, that there's something different, and hoping there, but then still focusing on what's the same, and it keeps you off kilter, which can be like, can piss you off a little bit. Like you can be like, okay, I'm tired of doing this, because I keep on finding myself in the same place. It's like I'm on a merry-go-round. It's like a up and down. I just feel that way. And the Two of Pentacles is also here to say, weigh your options, find out what it is that you really that you like really take your time and kind of manifest your next experiences, right? Like, yeah, when one form of you dies here with the Ten of Swords, when one identity, this is my card of identity, when one identity dies away, there's this beautiful opportunity to be able to create something that feels very good to you. A life that you feel connected to, that you feel passionate about, that you feel like it's worth it, right? Nothing like you've seen before. Here, I kind of feel like that with the Ten of Cups, and this is this ending of this ego's way of thinking. Sometimes if you just stand back from a situation, or you stand back from things long enough, without being focused on them, there's this gateway for new beginnings. You start to imagine who it is that you want to become. It's almost like maybe we imagine like our forms that we are now, like the way we look, the way we talk, where we come from, voice, face, all of those things are artfully imagined by a bigger part of us that wanted to experience life in this specific way. And whenever you have an experience where you feel like one of those, an identity of yourself is dying, don't be the victim to that. Use that as an opportunity to connect with source, to see what things that you're meant to express in a different way. And it takes work, because nothing in life is going to tell you to be imaginative. Nobody, like, talks about those things. That's not like something that's like common, you know and how to dream, how to manifest. All of those things aren't like necessarily popular things, but everybody has this divine expression that they're meant to engage with, and it's like this ongoing work of paint that just keeps on going and keeps on going and keeps on going. But I don't know, I want to say that okay, this is coming to me. It's not just like, in a painter, they're painting, but this is something that I guess I never thought about before, but I feel like I'm getting this message. It's like the strokes on the brush, like the bristles that create the brush, are just as important as the author, because they're both doing a very important job, and they're cooperating in a certain type of manner to help what's being created. Now, I'm giving you that example to say that you're a very important part of how that goes. If soul or our source is the painter stroking the canvas, well, at least you're the bristle, so you have some type of say so in the way that, I guess that's a beautiful way of saying how it goes. Like, the arm is going to stroke where it wants to go, but how you interact with the canvas as the bristle is totally up to you. That's where your range is. So, paint, live your life, figure out what it is that's good for you and what's not, but at least have that mindset of something different. Because if you stay just victimized of the same old, I hate to be the one to tell you, but the universe would be the one to tell you, I guess, like, you are living in a reality created by you. Like, sometimes we don't really like what that looks like, but it's just the rules. That's the rules of the game here with the with the emperor. And these are things that are put into your life to make you move forward, to move forward on your path to pave. Your soul has things it needs to experience, and while it's all beautiful, you have to keep on moving down and experience more things. It's kind of like what I was saying at the beginning of the reading with talking about reading tarot cards. Like, you have to have more experiences. Like, you got to keep on moving down the line. Like, I couldn't just stay there and say, okay, this is what I want to do forever this way. It's like, no, you need more experiences. So it didn't feel comfortable anymore to read the same way and to do the same thing. It was like I needed to push myself further. I had to kind of move on from it with the hopes that I could come back to it. I kept my love for it, but I know that there's a world that felt a little bit better than me forcing it to happen, or forcing it to be when I knew it didn't feel like it was naturally for me. And the Page of Cups is that energy. I didn't really talk about the Page of Cups, but the Page of Cups is that energy here of what I was saying about being the artist, doing the brushes and the strokes on canvas and creating something, and taking back enough enough to interpret, to look at your things beyond the surface level, to see the beauty in them. I'm not trying to say make something that happened bad to you into something good, but it's like the beauty in how everything it happened all the way that it was supposed to, beautifully orchestrated to take you ... And that's where you paint the next stroke at. But if you stay stuck on what it was, you can't be led by that part of you that wants you to be abstract and not so bogged down by opinions of you, other people's beliefs, what people told you can do, what you believe that you can do and can't, and all of those things. Because eventually that stuff is going to cripple you and keep you stuck in one spot forever, which is you here bored with life. Because you actually care. Like, like some people don't give a shit if they do the same thing over and over, but you do. You don't want to do that. So that's the universe's answer to it. It's the things that got to shift. What you can't change from the outside, you can definitely change from the inside here. And this is like saying, yeah, put your big boy pants on. You need to be, this card here is the dad of the deck. And I feel like the Emperor here is saying, yeah, nothing comes without hard work. Nothing comes without challenges. Never think that life is too easy, that you're beyond a challenge. And right now, that challenge is manifesting, dreaming, imagining something different than what is heavier to you right now with the Two of Pentacles, right? That is a challenge. That is a test. That's just the same amount as a test as an actual test or a job or a battle. Which here, the last two cards that were sitting on top of the deck, this battle here is like, you're in battle, buddy. You're not, don't be in victim state. Now's not the time to be victimized by your life, especially if it's things that you've already gone through before. You've already been a victim of that one time. So now you have your badge for that. You don't have to relive it all the time because that's keeping you trapped in some type of pain. Okay. The way out of that is, what do you want to see? We know enough. We're skilled. We got a t-shirt about what we don't want because we see it. It's here. It's evident. It's obvious. Now, the beautiful thing is that you get to paint another picture. I think that one thing you might be learning here is that you got to be specific when you manifest. Nobody likes that part. You can be like, one, my one that always makes me like laugh is, I ask for a nice guy, like, oh my God, somebody, please give me a nice guy, like, just somebody who's nice and just loving and blah, 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 blah. I promise I got that guy. I got that kind of guy. He was so annoying. It was too much. So it's like, okay, then I started getting the hint. Like, oh, you can't just say nice. You have to say this and that and this and that and that and that. And you have to get more specific. That's what dating is about. That's really what relationships are about. So get more specific on what it is that you want. And always understanding that life in these relationships are they serve as a mirror for what qualities you need to be able to take in what you want. Either you're seeing something in somebody that you really, really like, and that's the universe's way of saying, yeah, more of that. Or you're seeing something you're loathing somebody, and then that's showing you something too. So both of those things are teachers. You just have to be able to look at them in a detailed enough manner to be able to understand what they meant to you, instead of going with the storyline, because the storyline always dies. Not saying that you're faking anything, but yeah, one day it's news, and then the next day, like, they can be like it's a fire, or something like that, and then tomorrow we're just like back to normal. But those people really go through it, that have been through that. So yeah, that's just that thing. And this is going to be a battle. It's trying to get you to move through life with a little bit more ease on you, because your approach is very the word is rambunctious. Your approach is very rambunctious. That's the word that I'm getting. And we need a little bit more I want to say charm. But you know what? This is not what it is. It's not that you need to be more charming. What it is that when you're in that energy of like the Queen of Cups, you are like charming. So I see what it's kind of trying to say here. It's kind of trying to say you move through life with a lot more grace when you're focused on happy and positive things. And yes, it is true that you've been through a lot and you deserve a lot, and that doesn't change based on the success of connections that are meant to serve you as a mirror to show you what you do and don't want. So you can't punish them for that, because you wouldn't know that you wanted more if you didn't know that you didn't like what you already have. If that makes any sense, you have to have something to give you the distinction between the two. Those are those experiences. So don't be mad at them, because like the universe is like, okay, you can all, like, the universe is here offering this cup, like, okay, well, if you don't like that, you can always choose something else, right? You're like, no, I'm mad about it. I don't wanna. And yeah, and I feel like it's like a heart on your sleeve, but not in a way that it needs to be. I don't know. Here, you have the strength card here. It's talking about fortitude. So this is, I know it's something that's a tough a tough battle for you, because here we have the lion here, the lion that that wants to, you know, like, I don't want to say vengeful, but it's like in that state where it's like we stay in the animalistic part of us, that is the rage, where an emotion is felt but it's unprocessed, so it can be, that emotion can be unhinged. Now, unhinged looks a lot different for each person. I'm not saying you're walking up to somebody and strangling them or anything like that, but even within yourself, it may be nothing that nobody else ever notices. It's just like you have to control that part of yourself, because it's going to disturb you from being able to manifest something different if you focus on it too long, because it's enough to make you pissed. You know what I'm saying? And there's no denying it. So if you focus on it, you're always going to get pissed, right? Taking you out of the energy that you need to be able to delve into the side of yourself that is longing for something a little bit more different, that stands the test of time. And actually, that part of yourself will calm you down when you can look at it poetically and say, this happened to me, but this isn't the end of my story. It's like you become you and the author, I can't even say it right, are on the same page about things. So yeah, I mean, this is what I kind of see for you guys here. I already kept you for 35 minutes, and I don't even know who's listening to this that long. If you are, like, what a godsend. But that's the reading that I have for you guys. I hope that you guys can really focus on the potential that you can bring, or the infinite pathways or lifetimes. I don't want to say lifetimes, but visions that are endings, possibilities are like endless. Like, in all of that, you know, impossibleness, or in all of that possibility energy, you can choose to stay focused on what you already had, or you can just come up with something different. And that's kind of like the scale of things. It's almost like saying what's big to you is not really big in the universe's eyes. It's just an experience meant to make you do something else. The machine works the same way. This is the card of the Matrix here, the Emperor, the framework. The rules are the same. The rules have no emotions. They're beyond human comprehension. I'm sorry. And it's like what you think about will manifest. What you focus your energy onto, it will happen. That's not personal. So don't take it personal. Just look at it as the rule. And when it happens, don't have an emotional response to it happening, because it's always going to happen that way, because that's the framework of the life that we live in. So you use that to your advantage, and then you create the world that you want. And the bigger that you think, the more you think about it, the bigger your emotional connection gets to it, the more you get magnetized into that positivity or into that light of that, until you start experiencing it in your everyday life. Then it'll all start making sense, right? Because no good deed goes unwarranted. So you're never wasting that because something failed with it. It still did what it needed to do. You still planted the seeds. Maybe the ground wasn't fertile, and that's okay. You need to know that so that you can grow things in places that bear fruit. Okay? So that is the message that I have for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed reading this for y'all. I did. Oh my God, it felt good. We're gonna have to do this more often, honey. Is that a white refrigerator, honey? Please go ahead and follow it. What is it? Subscribe if you haven't already. Give it a like. If you know somebody who can benefit from this message, go ahead and send it to them. And let me know down below if this is going on with you. What cycles in your life have you been going through over and over again that you're like, you know what, it's time for something different. Okay. I hope that you guys are blessed, and keep your heads up. I'll be back soon with another reading. Bye bye.